This is my tier list where I rank every single brawler remodel. Yup, all of them. This is part 2, so you can check out part 1 if you want to. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's start with Daryl's remodel. Actually, this remodel looks really good. At first, I thought it was weird and his voice lines were weird. Yeah, this remodel gave Daryl voice lines. But after a while, I got used to it, and I think it was a great remodel considering it is pretty old. I'll put this one in S tier. Then we have old classic Daryl. I don't think there's something wrong with this model, to be honest. It doesn't look ugly or anything, but when we compare it to the actual model, it does not stand a chance. It looks completely different. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Now for Poco's remodel. This remodel just looks fine in my eyes. I don't know about you guys, I like the color palette, it's good enough, so let's put it in B tier. Old Poco now. For a very old model, this actually holds up pretty well. I know it doesn't have those vibrant colors and everything, but it doesn't really need to. I'm putting this one with the remodel, it's B tier. Dynamike's remodel. To be fair, this remodel looks really lit. The model and the animation fit the brawler so well. Let's just put it in A tier. And for old classic Dynamike. Many people will feel nostalgic to this one, but in reality, the model, the animation, and the colors are not really good for Dynamike. So I'm putting this one in trash tier. We have Bo's remodel now. Once again, you can't go wrong with this one. It's a very good remodel, it has good animations, good colors, and deserves A tier. Now we have old Bo. Sorry, but this goes to C tier. The model is just pretty outdated, especially when you compare it to the new Bo. And I don't expect much anyways from old models. After all, the remodels are supposed to be better. Next is Frank's remodel. Although I played this game before, I never knew that Frank actually got a remodel. And if you compare the new Frank with the old one, you may not see any difference. But when you look at them closely, you can see that the new Frank not only looks more modern, but has way better colors. So I'm putting it in A tier. Old Frank now. Other than the slightly worse textures and worse colors, this is not that different from the remodel, so I think B tier fits it. Tara's remodel now. Same thing as Frank, they just made the model look better and improved the colors, so A tier. Tara's old model. As you might have expected, yup, just like old Frank, B tier. We have the Shelly remodel now. You can't go wrong with this remodel. I like the appealing design, not only in lobby, but in game, so A tier. Classic old Shelly. This one is expected as it is the first brawler, so of course, the model is not gonna look extremely good. I'm putting it in C tier. Now for Colt's remodel. Another classic brawler. This one looks good, except that they made him a bit short. Maybe I'm wrong, but overall the model looks good. So this one is A tier. Next is old Colt. Not gonna lie, for an old model, this one has a really good animation and vibe to it. It is not that different from the remodel and it still looks decent, so I'm putting it in B tier. Now for Barley's remodel. Another old one, but it looks fine. Not much to say about it. It just does the job done, so this one is gonna be B tier. We have old Barley next. I don't really like this model, it just looks uncanny and weird. If you like it, that's fine, but for me, I'm gonna put it in trash tier. Bull's remodel now. This one is an old remodel and it shows. The model doesn't look as good as the other remodels, but it's not terrible, so B tier. We have old Bull now. Yeah, I gotta say, this one does not look that bad for a beta model. It's not that far off from the new model, so I'll put it in C tier. And Nita's remodel. I am putting this one in A tier. It looks good enough and the design fits the character, so I think A tier seems fair. Old Nita. I'm gonna be honest, this does not hold up so well. It just feels outdated, just like most of the other beta models. I'm putting in a trash tier, I'm sorry. And we have the Spike remodel now. It's a good improvement over the old model with some better textures and better animations. Not much more though. I think A tier fits it pretty well. Next is Old Spike. Well, other than the textures and the new animation, this one looks pretty identical to the new one. So I'm gonna put it in B tier. And finally, Rico. I do think Rico's remodel looks very good for 2019, and it holds up pretty damn well. A tier. And last but not least, old Rico. To be fair, I was gonna put this one in trash tier, but after looking at the model for some time, I think if you ignore some flaws, it has some pretty cool cowboy vibe to it, which makes me put it in C tier. And that's the tier list. Make sure you subscribe and goodbye.